Your question, the member from Kingston and the Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Minister responsible for women's issues. Minister, on Friday of last week, the Premier led an Ontario delegation which included you, the Minister of Aboriginal Affairs, and the Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services to the Roundtable on Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls in Ottawa. A national inquiry would provide a renewed focus on the underlying root causes, it would shed light on the severity of the issue, and it would help point to potential solutions. That is why I was so proud when this House passed my motion unanimously to support the call by the national Aboriginal organizations for a national inquiry on murdered and missing Aboriginal women and girls. The disproportionate violence against Aboriginal women and girls is a national tragedy. We must work with our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. Minister, will you please update the House on last week's roundtable?
Thank you. Minister of Children and Youth Services.
Thank you, Speaker. And I really want to thank the member for Kingston and the Islands for her question and her activism on this issue, not just today, but since she became a member of this legislature. So I thank her for that. And the roundtable was a step in the right direction, Speaker, and we are pleased the federal government did agree to work together on a pan-Canadian awareness campaign. However, Speaker, there could have been a lot more action we could have agreed upon on. Based on the discussions at the roundtable, we identified, it was actually 10 specific things from the Ontario delegation we felt were important. Action we can take right now to improve the situation facing Aboriginal women and girls. We are proposing a social economic plan for Aboriginal women and girls, supported by leaders of Canada's provinces, territories, national Aboriginal organizations to address root cause of violence. We need to push ourselves very hard, Speaker, in the coming months, as the Premier said, to hold everyone accountable. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Thank you to the Minister for that response. I'm glad that the Ontario government presented realistic measures to end the ongoing issue of missing and murdered Aboriginal women and girls. We have to collaborate with our Aboriginal sisters and brothers to develop long-term community-building initiatives, poverty reduction, employment opportunities, safety and policing, and public education, to name a few. For the last 6 months, I've worked with the Native Women's Association of Canada's Faceless Dolls project in my community of Kingston and the Islands to highlight the plight of the nearly 1,200 missing and murdered Aboriginal women and girls in Canada. My visits with the Aboriginal community, elders to school classrooms and religious organizations were emotional experiences. In the absence of strong federal leadership, we must continue to lead the way in raising awareness of this grave issue. Mr. Speaker, through you to the Minister, what were some of the outcomes from the National Roundtable this past Friday?
Thank you, Minister.
Sir, Aboriginal Affairs.
Sir of Aboriginal Affairs.
Speaker, the Roundtable was a tremendous opportunity to hear from Aboriginal organizations and the families of the missing and murdered Indigenous women. With the presence of 3 ministers, myself, Minister McCharles, Minister Naqvi, led by our Premier, Ontario had a very, very strong voice at that roundtable. As the member from Kingston highlighted, we need awareness. That is the one consensus that all of the attendees at the roundtable agreed upon. A pan-Canadian prevention and awareness campaign. This will build on existing initiatives and focus on changing the perception and attitudes on this issue of missing Indigenous women and girls. But despite the comments by the Federal Minister Leach, this is not just a local issue of a local individual crime. It's a broader issue. It has to be dealt with in a broader concept, and the federal government can do much, much more on this issue. Thank you, Speaker.